Hey there, MJ traders and investors. It's Rod with Power Group. Welcome back on The Pursuit of Wealth, your home for MJ stocks, crypto assets, news, and interviews. Also home to the best MJ community. Happy Friday. It's Friday, March 8th. Hope you're doing well. And in this video, we're going to be discussing the hints that have been dropped a lot lately. And this is coming from the executive branch in the U.S. President Joe Biden and also Kamala Harris have been dropping a lot of it's almost as if they're trying to tell us something. They've been dropping a lot of hints lately. They've been discussing MJ a lot in their public appearances, and there was a State of the Union address. There was also a video with Kamala Harris. I'm sure everybody has seen it by now, or basically she said, we changed federal MJ policy, and a lot of people were giving her pushback on that, saying you really didn't do anything. It's all been false promises. But it's great to see that it just keeps coming up, and this is really something that hasn't happened before. And I'm not American, so I'm from Canada, so I'm not going to get political. This isn't a political channel, and this video is anything but political. I'm not taking any side of the aisle. I'm just saying we want what's best for MJ. And to be honest, to be fair, I mean, they pretty much have done more than any other executive branch. So we got to give them a little bit of credit. They are getting things done. They initiated the rescheduling review, and then we could potentially see ultimately Schedule 3, in my opinion, sometime between now and the end of April, I think, is the most likely time frame. Maybe it's another month or two after that, but I think the most likely scenario is we get Schedule 3 recommendation, and I think the most likely timeline is between now and the end of April. Also, the charts are really starting to heat up, and it's showing, reading the tea leaves, it's showing that we could see some explosive moves in the space leading into that. And I've also got a poll here that I want to share with you, and just some overall thoughts and opinions in the psychology of this market dynamic that we could potentially see here. But it's great to see that these politicians, and specifically, the president and the vice president, really starting to make MJ a focal point, right? The fact that they just keep mentioning it is a good thing. And the fact that there's so many bills, there's so much chatter in Congress, there's so many, positives. Even though we're not getting anything across the finish line, it's great that it just keeps coming up, right? And I'm going to be discussing as well with regards to legalization what you think is the most likely scenario. And I'm curious what everybody else thinks as well. So we'll go into that here in just a moment. But before we do, as always, this is not financial advice. This is for entertainment and informational purposes only. You should never ever buy or sell anything based on anything that I say or anything that I write. Also, before we get to it, make sure to smash the like. It helps support me in the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. If you're new, you can subscribe, tick the bell, all that good stuff, and you'll be notified on any future videos or when I go live. Also, you can support us even more and follow us over on X, formerly Twitter. Handle for that is @GroupPow. Going to be using that as my platform of choice going forward. I've been hanging out there a lot lately, so come follow us and hang out. Shout out to Weed Street 420 for this. So Joe Biden's statement on MJ during SOTO, State of the Union. So this is a first, right? There's things that we haven't seen before, and that old adage, this time is different, I really do think has legs. I think there's some teeth to that. And again, we just look at Kamala Harris stand up as soon as he says it, right? Didn't actually play the video, but you can go to my X and follow it there. But essentially, they just continue to back, no one should be incarcerated. No one should be behind bars for medicine of the future, for this amazing plant and medicine, right? And just look how excited she is. And, this is something that we're going to continue to see more and more of. And it's so early, it's not even funny. And one thing that I shared as well was a poll, and also my own thoughts and opinions on what we could potentially see in a blue chip phase of MJ stocks. And I think we're nowhere near that. I'll go through the poll here first, though, and I'm curious what each and every one of you thinks here in the comment section below. What do you think is the most likely scenario? So how do you ultimately think legalization happens at the federal level in the United States of America? Do you think we get it descheduled from the Controlled Substances Act, similar to what Germany just did? Or do you think Congress gets it done through bills and legislature and lawmakers? So most people, and myself included, think it's going to be descheduled from the CSA. So we got an overwhelming majority here. There's over 100 votes, 107 votes to be exact. 72% think descheduling from the CSA is most likely scenario. And then Congress gets it done, 28%. So essentially, let me know in the comments section. You can even go to the community tab here on the YouTube channel, or you can go over on X and you can place your vote there. But 82.6% over on X of 23 votes say that, again, descheduling from the CSA is the most likely scenario. So again, there's two ways that it can be done, right? It can be Congress who drafts laws and bills, and then, we get bipartisan support, and then it goes through the House and the Senate, and then it gets, signed off, and then enacted into law. But I don't think that's the most likely scenario. I think descheduling it, ultimately, I think Schedule 3 is the most likely scenario here in the short to medium term. And then long term, I think descheduling is where we're going to ultimately end up. So let me know. I'm curious. Love each and every one of you who comment and drop your thoughts and opinions, because I always love thoughtful discourse. Even if we don't agree, we don't have to always agree, but we can persuade each other even if we don't agree on our different points and different opinions, right? So as long as everybody's respectful and, I always love engaging in thoughtful discourse. But curious, let me know your comments or your thoughts and opinions, and make sure to go vote for that poll. I think it's already done on X, but you can go over to community tab here on YouTube, and you can cast your vote there. But one thing I wanted to mention here as well is the fact that we have still yet to see the blue chip phase of MJ stocks. And this is the post that I made late last night, I guess 10 hours ago. So MSOs, multi-state operators, will become LPs and vice versa. Imagine if a mega merger happens, say Tilray and Curaleaf. This could very well happen one day. Remember this market dynamic when you're worried about current prices. Global MJ legalization only happens once. Okay, so we're starting to see, we're getting teasers, right? We're getting teased a little bit here and there that MJ is really starting to garner a lot of attention in Capitol Hill and in the executive branch. And it's only going to continue, right? This is like the first that we've ever really seen any, bills. There's talks that safer banking could get done before the elections. Again, not going to believe it until I see it, but I would say now is a better time as ever. And the fact that it's all happening right around the same time where we're getting, shout outs from the State of the Union, we're getting, multiple videos from Kamala Harris and the executive branch where they're saying they're changing MJ policy. And it's just the writing's on the wall. The cat's out of the bag. Like we can't let, like the train's left the station, right? We can't let current prices really bring us down. And you have to remember that it only happens once. This only happens once. We have to change our mindset and take this time to either accumulate. Again, I'm not telling you to buy, sell, or hold, but this is what I'm doing. I'm accumulating. I'm slowly dollar cost averaging. I'm branching off into different MSOs. So if you haven't seen my entire MJ portfolio breakdown for 2024 with percentages, you can see every MJ stock that I hold with the percentage of my portfolio of each weighting. And then I just continue to diversify, right? I continue to add more to, right now I'm focusing mostly on the MSOs, the multi-state operators, right? And one thing I wanted to mention as well is how similar Tilray and Curaleaf are. And again, I use them as an example, but I really do think that they could potentially merge one day. If you just listen to, the management and the strategy, like they're very similar companies. And if you listen to, Matt Darren or Boris Jordan, you listen to Irwin Simon, Irwin Simon's based out of New York as well, right on Wall Street. And Tilray's an absolute powerhouse. And they've really got their hands in so many different areas. They've got, their hemp distribution business, they've got their MJ business, and they got their alcohol business, right? So they're so well diversified as well. And then Curaleaf also focusing big on Germany and Portugal. And again, it just sounds so much like Tilray. And I would hazard a guess, and I would say that it's probably a higher than a 50% chance that one day we're going to see these MSOs become licensed producers and vice versa, right? We're going to see multi-state operators. We already see it with, Acreage and Canopy. We've seen it. There was rumors floating around that Curaleaf could buy Cron, but they denied that. And then, there's other possibilities as well, like MedMen, convertible debt and MedMen. Tilray has it. A lot of people are saying, well, MedMen's a dead business. Well, that's kind of where some of these companies like to swoop in, right? They like to get things for pennies on the dollar, right? And then swoop up these assets, whether it be a stalking horse bid through some sort of creditor protection or insolvency. They come in with a stalking horse bid, right? And they're able to, get these assets. It maximizes the assets for the liquidation company. But ultimately the company acquiring those assets can get a phenomenal deal, right? So again, I think, I just kind of shouted it out there, and I'll be fully transparent. Tilray is my number one biggest holding, and Curaleaf's my second biggest holding. And you're probably thinking, oh, he's just saying Tilray and Curaleaf because those are his two biggest holdings, which, I'm not denying that, but that's not why I'm saying it. If you actually do your due diligence and look into these two companies, they have a very similar approach, right? Like their business models are very, very similar, and they're both not yet profitable. And that's because they're focusing internationally. They're not focusing on, being the biggest and the best right now. They're looking 5, 10 plus years out from now. And I think that we're going to see this blue chip mega merger phase. We're already seeing tons of consolidation here in the Canadian space, and it's going to happen in the US, right? We don't need all these thousands of producers in the US, and a lot of them look the same. A lot of them are doing the same thing, and that happened in Canada. And you have to think, when these companies in the US start to expand to the rest of the US, that's going to be huge capex, so capital expenditures that are going to require either a lot of capital, it's going to dip into their cash reserves, or they're going to have to raise money through equity if they're not profitable, right? And this is something that can happen. And a lot of companies in the U.S. are just trying to get their foothold on one state, so they don't even have the whole U.S. yet, and that's going to take some time. And then there's going to be challenges with that as they look to expand. And there's some states where it's limited licenses, right? So you have to buy it from another company, and that costs money, and it's going to cost a pretty penny. And then international expansion, right? So all of these things take time and money, and it's going to be an interesting rollout. There's going to be winners both sides of the border. And I always hear everybody say, MSO gang, right? There's a reason why there's that group, that multi-state operator gang. It's because it's so tribal, right? We have such a tribalistic sector right now, and it can't be that way, right? We're going to see these companies merge. We're going to see winners and losers in Canada, the US, and abroad, internationally as well, right? From those two. And all boats rise together, right? There's enough room for all of these companies to succeed and for all of us to succeed, right? So we want all boats to rise together. We want to support the industry. And, why are all these companies like Constellation Brands, why are they investing in Canopy? Why is Altria investing in Kronos? Why is British American Tobacco investing in Organigram? I thought it was MSO gang. I thought MSOs were the ones in the US. The producers in the US are the only ones worth looking at or owning, right? Well, why would that be the case if these, hundreds of $billion market cap, right? These Fortune 200, 500 companies are investing in the Canadian ones? It's because they know that they have over 5 years operating in a legal framework here in Canada. They've already got a huge head start into international, and they're going, the amount of growth potential once they tap into international in the US, right? Europe has more people than the US. And we've just seen a monumental shift in policy with regards to German lawmakers. And that's just a stepping stone to the rest of the EU, right? And then once the US opens up, so there's so much potential here. But if you look at the other way around, the US doesn't really have as much potential with international and Canada, right? As much as the LPs do into the US market and abroad, right? So there's going to be winners and losers both sides of the border. And I can guarantee you, I'm as close to 100% as possible on this, that we will see mega mergers happen with companies in the US and Canada merge. And at that point, it's going to be global powerhouses and a force you cannot stop. So again, change your mindset. Realize that current prices are not, a reflection of a company's value at this particular time, right? In history, we need to realize that we are so early, it's not even funny. And we're going to really reap the rewards if we just stay the course, be patient, continue to understand that this train has left the station. This industry is not going anywhere. We're only going to see massive, massive adoption from here. And right now, I've never been more excited to be an investor in this space. And like I said, safer banking, I think, really has some teeth this time around. We know that Mitch McConnell is going to be stepping down as GOP Senate leader, and we know he hates medicine in the future and natural medicine. So, and Frank, maybe even the American people, because the American people overwhelmingly want it legalized. So if he doesn't want to legalize it, and the majority of the people that he's supposed to represent want it done, does he hate the American people? Who knows? But at the end of the day, we need more progressive people in there, out with the old, in with the new. I'm excited for the next few months ahead and the next couple of years, frankly, because like I said, with safer banking, potential for that happening, get Wall Street positioned, then get rescheduling enacted into 2025, Florida on the ballot, Pennsylvania. We get updates to the MJ Act here in Canada. We get Germany coming online with a second pillar. That's going to be really when critical mass starts to come in. So I'm excited. The rest of the EU will follow suit. Then they'll follow suit in the footsteps of Canada, essentially. And then the US is next, in my opinion. And that's going to be when we start to see exponential growth and life-changing wealth. But going to end it there, let me know your thoughts and opinion. Make sure to cast your vote as well on that poll on YouTube in the community tab. And we'll talk to you again in the next video. Have a great weekend ahead.